Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Resh, and in today's video, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you have to know about Turkish to be able to understand Turkish people and also to be able to speak. Now, as most of you know, I'm multilingual, and every time I talk about Turkish, I say the same thing. Turkish is different. If you compare it to German, English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian, to any Indo-European languages, you will just find a few similarities. So you have to change your concept of thinking to be able to actually understand Turkish. So that's what I'm trying to do on this channel. And for today's video, I've actually thought of some random things that are different in Turkish, at least to my ear, when I compare it to other languages. Because we tend to use a lot of metaphors and interpretation, and we tend to drop out words when we speak. We tend to change the sentence structure, and we have some specific sounds that we make. So this video is basically going to teach you the weirdest things I know about Turkish. So first things first, in Turkish, the word be is not commonly used. How, right? If you want to say, I am Resh, you have the word be conjugated here, and you have to use it in every language I know to be able to express that you are that person. Or if you want to say, I am rich, if you want to say, I am sad, if you want to say, you are good, if you want to say, he is nice, you always need the word be. It works the same way in every language I know, in German, in Spanish, in Italian, in Portuguese, in French. But in Turkish, we generally don't use that word. Since Turkish is an agglutinative language, you generally don't add words to a sentence to give more meaning to it. What you do is you add prefixes or suffixes. So the correct translation of I am Rash in Turkish would be ben reshim, right? This im indicates the word be, but generally speaking, we don't use that. We just say ben Resh, ben Melissa. So we basically don't use the word be, and that's why a lot of Turkish people actually struggle when they start learning other languages. They actually tend to forget to use the verb be here. You will see a lot of Turkish people who will forget to use the verb be here. And then the second thing, the verb have. Well, this is another verb that we don't use. Well, now you're going to say, well, those are the most commonly used words in every language I know. How do you not use them? Well, I know it's interesting, but it's just we don't. And I'll explain why and how. So in Turkish, the meaning of have is sahip olmak, which is the one-to-one translation of have, but it sounds like to be the owner of something. Sahip olmak, that's what it sounds like. So generally speaking, when I say I have a car, I could say ben bir arabaya sahibim. So you see here that I used the verb sahip olmak and conjugated it and actually translated that sentence one-to-one. But the thing is, it doesn't sound natural. We don't speak that way because it sounds like I am the owner of this car. That's what it sounds like. So we generally don't use that. What we do say is we use the word var. Var means there is or there are. So what you do is you basically say araban var, which means there is a car that belongs to me, basically, right? But we understand it as I have a car. So thinking from another perspective, you can easily say, oh, wow, why do they express it that way? I mean, there's a car that belongs to me, but it doesn't sound like that to us. So it's just a translation that seems a little bit off-putting here. So you will in 98% of the conversations where people use the verb have in Turkish, you will not hear sahip olmak, you will hear var. Do you have money? Paran var mı? Yes, I have money. Param var. Again, you could say ben paraya sahibim and people will understand you, but that sounds so weird. It's definitely not normal Turkish. So yeah, that's basically why we don't use the be and the have. Okay, now I want to talk about some expressions that we use and the way we respond to those expressions. It's weird. Even to me, it's weird that we use it that way. And I always actually criticize that when people talk like that. But it's just what Turkish people do, and I don't understand why. It's just mostly that we interpret a lot more than we actually hear. So you will hear a lot of people reply to how are you with thanks. So Turkish people tend to say thanks, but not I'm fine or I'm bad. Basically just say thanks and you. So somebody asked you, how are you? And you go, thanks and you. Well, you didn't even say anything. You just said thanks. Well, you just tried to be polite because it's maybe because we feel like this is not a real question. I mean, when is the last time that you went to somebody and actually meant, how are you? So we basically just ask it to say hi, right? And I think that's why we use it that way in Turkish too. So how are you would be nasılsın? And our response would be teşekkürler. Sen? Thanks. You? You know, say you're good. I mean, I always talk with my friends about that, and I think it's strange. Even as a Turk, I find it strange, but it's, as I said, an interpretation. We kind of realize that it's not a real question because it's something that you asked on the way, right? Okay, now this is going to get a little bit more confusing here because that makes absolutely no sense. What I'm talking about is the way we respond to what are you doing. So what are you doing in Turkish would be ne yapıyorsun? I mean, it's what are you doing, right? When somebody asks you what you're doing, you say, oh, I'm sitting, I'm working out, I'm talking to my mom on the phone, I'm cooking, I'm eating, blah, blah, blah. But what we do in Turkey is weird. We say iyiyim, which means I'm good. So you ask someone what he's doing and he says I'm good. Like, don't ask me why, because probably again it's an interpretation where we think that if somebody asks you what you're doing, they're actually implying to ask you how you are, right? I mean, if only we had a word for that. If only we had a word that meant how are you in Turkish, like nasılsın, for instance, but we reply in a different way to that. We say thanks. But when somebody says ne yapıyorsun, which is what are you doing, we say I'm good. Like, this is weird. This is really weird. And I'm not exaggerating, but 95% of Turkish people will talk like that. And sometimes me included. Because, I mean, I'm the type of person who would say, oh, that's wrong. Don't use it that way. It sounds weird. But sometimes even I don't want to fight it anymore. And I just play along and use it that way. And sometimes it's kind of fun. I don't know. Because I feel like we're speaking on another level. We're not really directly talking to each other, but we're interpreting things. And I don't know. Weird. Okay, then there are some sounds that we make when we talk to imply certain things. One of them is this one, which you can perhaps know. We use it to say no. So we do have a word for no, which is hayır, but we say a lot. I don't, because I feel like I'm not an orangutan, but a lot of people do, and especially the older generation does it. It's just, are you coming tonight? You just, you just do this sound. We say, when we write it, we say chick, chick sound, right? So yeah, that's what we do a lot, to just say no. I'm not doing that. That's not going to happen. There are so many more sounds in Turkish that are specific to this culture that I could actually make an entire video about it. And I'm probably going to do that. If you want it, make sure to leave a comment. In this video, I have a couple more things to talk about. I have a lot of people who ask me about material that I would recommend for learning Turkish. I'm preparing a course right now, but it's going to take some time for me to publish it. But as soon as I do, I will publish it on my YouTube channel so that you can check it out. But for now, there are some good books that I would recommend. And if you want to check them out, I have the links in the description box. Okay, another weird thing that I cannot explain why we do it that way. I still don't understand it. But if you don't use it that way, it sounds wrong. It is wrong, basically. I don't know if it's grammatically wrong. I think it is, but it definitely sounds wrong. So that would be the case of plurals. So in Turkish, plurals are actually built very easily. If you know the vowel harmony, and vowel harmony in Turkish is a whole topic that I have to talk about for maybe half an hour. I'm going to make videos about that too. So you have to know the vowel harmony, and as soon as you know it, you either attach the suffix lar or lar to your word. So let's say the word apple would be elma. And if you want to say apples, you would say elmalar. So I know that then this word is plural. But the thing is, there are certain occasions where it's wrong to use it that way, even though you're implying the plural. And let me give you a specific situation. I want to say, give me 2 apples. I would say, bana 2 elma ver. Bana means to me, 2 means 2, elma means apple, ver means give. So I'm basically saying, give me 2 apple. What we do is when we use numbers with plural nouns, it kind of sounds weird. So when I say a number and then use a word right after it, then I already know that it's plural. So if I put it in the plural version, it sounds like a double thing, you know? It's like I doubled the plural. So you would say elmaları ver, which would mean give me the apples. So then you have the plural form. But if you really use a number in front of that, you wouldn't use the plural. It sounds wrong. I don't know. Don't ask me why. It's just in any other language I know, it makes no sense. But in Turkish, you cannot say iki elmalar. People will, again, understand you, but it's wrong. I don't know why, but it just is. Another thing that I want to mention is the sentence structure in Turkish, which is also interesting to so many people out there because it is very uncommonly seen grammar type, let's say. And the reason for that is not the structure itself, but the flexibility of the structure. So the structure would be subject, object, verb, instead of subject, verb, object, which you know from a lot of other languages like German, English, and Spanish, and so on. So here you see the difference. The verb is at the end of the sentence, not in the middle. That is the major difference. But the sentence structure in Turkish is very flexible. And to a lot of people out there, that is not really comprehensible. Because if you think from an English point of view, let's say I have a sentence, I want to say, I am going to go to school. In Turkish, it would be ben okula gideceğim, right? Ben okula gideceğim. Now, in English, you cannot change the structure of the sentence. You cannot say, I going to am school, or school to I am going, or something. You cannot mix it up. It makes no sense. It's wrong. You have no flexibility. The sentence structure is as it is. But in Turkish, if you want to change ben okula gideceğim, you can basically make it okula gideceğim ben. Or you can even say okula ben gideceğim. So let me give you some specific occasions here. Ben okula gideceğim. I mean, when we speak fast, we pronounce it ben okula gideceğim. So I'm going to pronounce it like that from now on because the other way around, it sounds a little unnatural to me. Ben okula gideceğim. It would be the normal sentence of I'm going to go to school, right? But you can put some emphasis on certain words and then change the structure. Let's say somebody's implying that you're not going to school, but somebody else is going for you. And then you want to make sure that he understands that you are the one who's going to school. So you say, okula ben gideceğim, right? Okula ben gideceğim. And I'm going to school, not somebody else. So that's how we would change the sentence structure, and it would sound totally correct. You could also change it one more time. You could do okula gideceğim ben, right? That would also work. I mean, we have that flexibility, and for a lot of people, it's not understandable. And that's why also a lot of Turkish people who learn new languages, they tend to mix it up. They tend to think that sentence structures in other languages are also flexible like that. Yeah, so you have to also understand that. I think it makes Turkish a little easier, to be honest. Okay, another thing that we do in Turkish is we use a lot of weird types of measurement. And what do I mean by that? It's basically, we have some expressions that sound weird. I'll explain. Let's say we say kol gibi, which means like an arm. And what does that mean? It means something is devastating and it is so huge that it was a big problem, right? Let's say you're sitting at a restaurant, you're asking for the bill and you see it's like $5,000. And then you would say, oh, kol gibi girdi, which means that it kind of hit us like an arm, you know. It sounds like you're getting penetrated by that arm, by the way. So it sounds vulgar. That's why we use it. I mean, if something is heavy, it's unbearable. If it's too much, then when we say kol gibi, which basically translates to like an arm. But apparently to us, arm is something that could harm you in that sense if it penetrates you. Because that's what you imply when you say it. And then we have another thing. We say eşek kadar, for instance, which means like a donkey. Now, what does that mean? Let's say you see your nephew, you haven't seen him, I don't know, in 5 years, and now you go, oh, he's grown so much, he's very big now. He used to be very small, but now he's like a donkey. So he grew, he got big. Eşek gibi oldu, that's what we say. I don't think it's a good metaphor, but people use it. I've heard it. I've heard many people say it, and interesting. Yeah, I don't know why. Why is it a donkey? A donkey is not that big of an animal. I don't know. Okay, another saying that we have when it comes to measurements is göt kadar, which means like an ass. So that's interesting. I don't know why, but when a space is very small, let's say you have, I don't know, you have a room that's like 10 square meters and someone comes in and goes, oh, this is so small, göt kadar yer. It's like, this place is like an ass. It's like, it's got the size of an ass, that's what you say. And apparently asses are small. In that sense, right? So that's why we say that. I don't know either, man. It's If you translate it, it sounds weird, but in Turkish, it makes sense and it's funny. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. Okay. And I cannot end this video without using this expression, which is, again, basically sound that we make. It's basically when you want to show that you're annoyed or exhausted or you're done. Yeah, we use it a lot. And that would be off. Off. Off, yeah. Off. That's basically enough. That's basically enough, man. That's enough. I don't want that anymore. But it's a sound that we make. We have this thing. I mean, my mother, I know that that's a thing for a lot of Turkish people out there. And when my mom's in the living room and I'm in my room and she goes, "Hey, Resh, come here." And I go, "Off." And she gets frantic. She goes, "Don't you off your mother. Don't you say that to your mother. I am." She starts a whole scene about it. And that's the thing, because it's like, to her, that's like cursing at her, right? So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of Turkish people have had the same experience with their mothers. I mean, you say off and then she loses it, you know? Yeah, interesting. Guys, I want to know if you guys like that type of content. If you do, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button. Do you know any more Turkish expressions? Are there any videos that you want me to make about Turkish or other things? Make sure to leave a comment. See you guys in a new video. Till then, take care.